First of all, I would like to answer the obvious question: why are we suddenly meeting today? As we have been monitoring this situation in cooperation with the Minister of National Defense, unfortunately, this is not the first situation we have been dealing with a few dozen hours ago in the Baltic states. It is related to the suspicious behavior of some units of the so-called Shadow Fleet. In this case, I would like to start with a thank you, because we are not oversensitive. There have been several very massive events of the destruction of the underwater infrastructure, so these threats are not abstract. In the case of the so-called Shadow Fleet, these are primarily Russian units, although they are sailing under large banners, as in this case, if I have noted correctly, they were Bermuda or Antigua. Yes, Antigua. But we know what it is about. Thanks to your actions, I am really very satisfied that in a very effective, discreet way, not without overusing unnecessary resources, but we managed to discourage the ships from some kinetic actions that could damage the power cable. Well, because the matter is, unfortunately, quite typical. I do not have to explain this to you, Admiral, General, but not everyone still realizes how often critical infrastructure facilities, these international ones located at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, how often they are an object of activities of a diverse or even terrorist nature. We have already had to deal with actions that led to very massive damage. In this case, the ship was maneuvering near the power cable connecting Sweden and Poland. Thanks to your actions, the unit quickly and decisively returned to one of the Russian ports. We've saved ourselves very serious troubles and financial costs. I know that we are still examining whether any loads have not been submitted. It is known that this needs to be checked very carefully. Do I understand correctly that ORP Hevelius is still in the sea?
Yes, it is still in the sea.
And so far there are no bad signals.
It will perform the task at 12 to 13 o'clock. Okay.
And such a good case. I mean, good, it's bad that we're dealing with such events. But the case made me, today I will also inaugurate a large plant in Gdansk. It is a production plant located on the Baltic Towers. I'm talking about the case because there will be wind and sea towers produced there. So we have a massive investment in the Baltic states. We have to realize that these incidents that take place with the shadow fleets, that is, Russian saboteurs, can unfortunately be repeated in the future more and more intensely. And this is what our activities intersect, i.e., very serious investments on the coast and at sea. This applies not only to wind investments, but also to the nuclear power plant, which will be built primarily with the help of sea transport. When it comes to the supply of basic elements for this construction, these are, of course, offshore, i.e., huge, really gigantic wind farms, which we will set up in the Baltic states, not to mention other infrastructures, this classic underwater cable, gas pipelines, etc. So, not by chance, the NATO initiative, the Baltic Ward or the Baltic Center, the initiative turned out to be something necessary. There was no need to use such funds yesterday, but let's not fool ourselves. I mean, there is no need to build any illusions. There is no need to refute these facts. The Baltic states will perhaps become a place, just like today's eastern Polish border, a permanent confrontation. I don't know why we should call it a conflict or a hybrid war. This is a simple aggression aimed at very important things concerning our energy security, not just things. So, I would like to thank you very much for this action and for the fact that you all showed that we are ready for these endeavors. But we are also here today to make everyone aware of how much investments and your hard daily work are needed, because unfortunately, you will have to use serious funds, probably very often, due to the increasing real threat when it comes to our critical infrastructure. So, I would also like to thank everyone who contributed to the discharging of this situation, for the quick and well-thought action and way of action. Mr. Minister, did you want to add anything?
I just wanted to add, Mr. Prime Minister, that immediately after the that this ship is a threat. And I would also like to thank all the soldiers on behalf of the Ministry of Defense for this action. which, as Mr. Prime Minister said, was very discreet, but also very effective. It can be seen that in any such situation, you just have to react. You cannot leave even a shadow of doubt that we do not guard in this difficult moment. The Polish Army Guards, it is in place. Thank you to all the soldiers, all the Marines, and thank you very much for the whole operation.